for the AYV newspaper, on the front page, it says, Arise IPP imports passenger rail cars from Japan. And also, MRU celebrates 50 years since signing Malema Declaration. And that's for it for the AYV front page. Away from the AYV front page, we go to the Awareness Time front page newspaper, and on it says more females in 2023 WAS than male pupils. And also on Arise IPP Sierra Leone to enjoy passengers railway after 60 years. And MRU celebrates 50 years of signing Malema Declaration, and MRCG ends post-election National Dialogue Forum with stakeholders. And last for it, Prisons Court, Justice Momoja Stevens sentences 19, discharges 9. And away from the Awareness Times newspaper, we go to the exclusive newspaper. On its front page, it reads, Today, Samura Kamara to address the nation, and Jagaban clears the air. So away from the exclusive newspaper, we go to the Awoko newspaper. On its front page, it reads, Providence International Senior High School scores remarkable success in 2023 WAS result. And also, former British High Commissioner Peter Penfold dead at 79. And an award Memorial School triumphs in inter-heritage quiz competition. And Honorable KKY bids farewell to High Commissioner Penfold. And away from the Awoko newspaper, we go to the Independent Observer newspaper. And on its front page, it reads, 34,525 WASC results withheld. And also, Arise IPP imports 7 passenger trains from Japan. And away from the Independent Observer newspaper, we go to the Standard Times newspaper. On its front page, it says, 2023 WASC results, over 34,000 results seized. And that's for it for the front page of Standard Times. And away from the Standard Times newspaper, we go to the Vindicator newspaper. And on its front page, NACIT DG inspects work at Sewa Grounds Market. And also, Dennis Bright calls for sincerity in upcoming dialogue. And MML pays 38 billion into fund for beneficiary communities. And Samura Kamara to address the nation today. The last one for that is Moped discusses new revised NGO policy with stakeholders. And away from the Vindicator newspaper, we go to the Times newspaper. On its front page, Dennis Bright calls for transparency and honesty in upcoming dialogue. As electricity tariff increases, Lawyer Mara decries government's inability to address the nation's plight. And Arise IPP imports 7 rail cars from Japan. Samura Kamara to allay fears of supporters today. And Jagaban clarifies similarities in name of New Jersey criminal. Away from the Times newspaper, we go to the Intern newspaper, and on its front page, it reads, WASC 2023, 137,796 students meet university requirements. PFSL writes Social Welfare Minister. And that's all for the Intern newspaper. And away from that, we go to the Satellite newspaper. On its front page, It says the US FBI investigates Jagaban. And as Arise IPP procured and shipped, 7 passengers rail cars arrive on 26th October. And that's the, okay, the final newspaper we have for today is the Global Times newspaper, and on its front page, it reads, IGP Selu continues to capacitate police officers, and railway and port lease agreement. Government needs to tread carefully. And lastly, RAIC joins UNESCO to celebrate IGAI. Deputy Tourism Minister participates in fundraising event in Abuja. So those were all the front pages, headlines on the local tabloids here. And one of the story that's almost cut across all is the Arise IPP importing passenger rail cars from Japan. And I would just love to take an extract from that before we go to the discussion, as we have Melvin Tijan Mansare here, who is a journalist, and we also wait for Imran Sila, who is from the Information and Civic Education Ministry. And on the Arise, they say Arise Integrated Industrial Platform, Arise IPP, has announced that it is expecting to the arrival of 7 passenger rail cars imported from Japan on the 26th October 2023. In a correspondence addressed to the Minister of Transport and Aviation, Ambassador Alhaji Fande Toure, dated 22nd September 2023, the General Manager of Interface at Arise IPP, Samuel Komba Kambo, said the rail cars are expected to dock at the Freetown port on October 26, 2023. Mr. Kambo explained that bearing the reference number Arise 092302, titled Arrival of Passenger Trains, underscores the progress made under the railway and port lease agreement signed between the government of Sierra Leone and Arise IPP on January 17, 2023. The agreement grants Arise IPP to the responsibility to operate and maintain the rail and port infrastructure, including the operation of a passenger rail service. He said Arise IPP has successfully procured and shipped 7 passenger rail cars and their associated critical spares from Japan, with an anticipated arrival at Freetown on October 26, 2023. So, Melvin, I think you've followed a little bit from the extract about the railways that the rail cars that Arise IPP is set to import in Sierra Leone. So what does this mean to the country, knowing that, because I don't think I was born the time when the railway was working in Sierra Leone, because now it's not just for the mining sites, but also I've seen something that has to do with passenger rail cars.
It means a lot, and Pancrio, it means this is not good news. As we all know, say, for travel na Salone, firstly na Freetown, where Freetown not to Salone in art. Let's talk about far-reaching areas in the north, the south, the east. We bring the question of this supposedly for ease the transportation difficulties. However, the question begs, if not the existing pit, rail and port infrastructure ready, we will say this not to service we go there for all passengers as time for be corrected. We not to them PRO or another than PR for eternity. But what in this mean? Then side them who side train made on the pass way now on what we will call industrial use, where people let me see but not touch, then me the smell, but no, but okay. Then they were seen, hearing, and sometimes are victims of calamity of rail or port disaster. Now they have the opportunity to pay for the service. At what cost is another thing. But the fact here is, this is an investment or a business that is keeping in terms with its terms of reference or contracts, which is, among other things, you should not just come and control the ports and rail, but also help the poor people around those areas to have ease of transportation. So this should be welcoming. But one thing Sierra Leoneans must underscore, Arise is not a government, ministry, department, or agency.
Okay.
It is a private or what you call a corporate business that exists to maximize profits. How they will be going around the cost for this commercial service is something that some of us would like to beg, if it's permissible, that it be considerate in tandem with the living and cost of living and livelihoods of the people in those areas that this train is expected to be traversing. So also it can mean that the government must take this institution or this business very seriously for the fact that they are informing the Minister of Transport and Aviation. It means they want to be in line with the laws.
Okay.
Because you can have the business mindset to come and do business, but is it in tandem with the spirit of what the Ministry of Transport and Aviation laws are saying, or other related laws? So for me, this means this business is doing something legal, and this is not a portfolio business. This is a business that is here to do business and means business, even at a higher or cheaper cost. But the fact remains they are here and they are making a difference. So this should be a welcome news. I hope the press and other people will have the opportunity to first inspect the import of these things, see how they arrived in Sierra Leone, whether they are brand new or old. Because Japan, not really can panic with it, so
yeah. You
have second-hand trains in Japan. So we want to see what kind of quality of train. Is it SO2 90 Ubo train? Is it that's old-fashioned? I don't want to classify what kind. I don't expect an electric train, of course, looking at the extant infrastructure. But the fact remains, we should celebrate a bit because somebody that has invested a lot of money is here coming to say, it was part of my agreement not to only control the rail and port, which was very contentious, let's not forget, but here I'm here to help the ordinary people. So I think this should be welcoming, irrespective of whatever critical opinions or reservations one will tend to nurse or hold.
Okay, and also because, as we said earlier, maybe the last time that Sierra Leone was running a passenger train, it was in the 21st century or the 20th century, so to speak. Maybe one because I wasn't born back then. So, and now it's kind of like this is a new way of transportation that is coming, especially for this generation. So what would you recommend if it is going to be used by the public? What would you recommend for the transport ministry or the transport sector to do in order for it to be as the normal transportation that we are used to?
You know, when you are hosted by a status correspondent, the issues will come like manners from everyone, and I understand why. But the fact remains, that question is very important. Safety comes to mind. There was an incident, I think, is it in one of these, I don't know if it's Turkey, one of those Arab blocks, wherein because of an old train infrastructure, there was a huge collision. So let me not forget Fambulela to Kampakrio. It might be a new train, but it might not be a new railway. So let's prepare our minds for that. It means we must have safety officers, safety measures, the right control technology. Mind you, Japan is high-tech. We are all hoping and praying for high-tech train, but we will not wish for it for now because we don't have high-tech rail. So you must look at the old Urubo infrastructure we are having, in as much as we want the most recent train, but the fact remains, if you don't have the infrastructure, it might cause, if you are following world news, people in Turkey and elsewhere, they are complaining because of all rail infrastructure. And Sierra Leone cannot be an exception. So in as much as we are celebrating the importation of new trains from Japan, which I expect to be some kind of technologically imbibed or sophisticated. But the fact remains, we are having age-old rail infrastructure. And that is not only the case, we must escalate or cascade it to other places that it's not existing. because this will help greatly in the transport sector. So the government should welcome this. This should be welcome because it should be complementing the government's efforts. I don't think the Sierra Leone government is even thinking about having a rail system in place.
Okay.
So now that it's going to be a corporate or a business thing, we hope that Arise should take cognizance of the fact of safety, because it's going to be passenger train. It's not for their staff only or for their cargo only. It's going to be people and goods, and they involve lives and properties. So they must take into cognizance the aspects of safety and all those things. Okay. But it's going to be another opportunity for jobs.
Okay. So that's great. And also, in your opinion, do you suggest that we just have the rail facility in Freetown, or even serve up countries in the bigger cities, or even in the remote areas also to benefit? According to the history of Sierra Leone, the rail was basically rolled out to connect the interland and here that which they call the city. So that should be the focus. Mm-hmm. I should be able to go to Pendembu in Kailaun with the train, or even Kurubula. Mm-hmm. So that should be, or even Pujahang. So if it's not nationwide, then what's the reason? Okay. And mind you, Sierra Leone is diverse. If you go to the north, it's rich in agriculture. If you go to the south, it's got its own richness. Mm-hmm. So if you have a train service that is only limited to Freetown, I beg you on a big the game. Yeah, because the reason why I asked that question, in 2018, I happened to go to Kailaun, mm-hmm. and not just in Kailaun, but I went as far as Buyedu. And I've been to Buyedu. Yes, too. As you spoke about the agriculture, mm-hmm. the road is so bad, and there were a lot of goods there, mm-hmm. and there were trucks packed there mm-hmm. with goods that are perishing. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, I was thinking, oh, if we should have a rail that will connect this area to Freetown, I think in the area of food, we'll be able to have, if not sufficient food, but we'll be able to have a lot of food. And this food that is perishing here, we won't have to find ourselves in that situation. So that's the reason why I asked the question. And how, in your opinion, how would this boost areas in agriculture, especially for perishable goods?
Immensely. I mean, we can have a lot of food stuff across the country with the railway, and that has been there. But mismanagement and corruption erupted everything with regards to that. And if we are to blame governments, well, we know it's certain governments, but other governments have all been complacent or reticent with regards to that. So for me, it's not new. The only newness there is it's coming from the corporate world, not the government. Mm-hmm. So it can be a slap also on the face of the government that you guys have not been serious. You used to have this facility. In fact, a slap, because the government cannot manage its own facility. The rail itself is a property of the government, if you look at the contract. So that's, as it's may, government will always argue we are not good business people, arguably so. Now that the corporate body is doing that, I think it's going to boost agriculture, it's going to boost inter-regional trade. It's going to help also to unite the country. It's going to help in decentralization. You know, everybody wants to come to centralize in Freetown, even if it costs you to be in a place where you don't even have a toilet or even a kitchen. But once the fact that you are in Freetown, you know, it's happening in other cities, but with this movement, I think it will help greatly. So kudos to Arise, and we hope that, we'll get a first hand on the type of train, type of rail, who are the workers, what's the terms of condition, what's the safety mechanisms, and all of that. But this should be welcomed by every Sierra Leonean. Okay. And you spoke about the safety area, which is very, very important. Mm. And because they've already signed agreements, but since the government person is not yet here, this is just like your opinion on in that regard. Mm-hmm. Because when the 100 school buses were coming, you know, they had people who were sensitizing the public, some of the features of these buses, you know, just in the area of safety and also. But like from this, I did not see like specifications in the area of the safety measures or how safe the rail cars would be. So is that something that you think that the
Arise IPP and the transport sector will really concentrate and try to let the public know, since this is a new transportation system that is coming into play?
I mean, you learn a whole lot of skill sets. I think we are overreading into this one. Yes, of course, because we want public interest to be protected. And of course, we are coming from both coming from policy reporting perspective. So of course, that should be considered. But mind you, it's been a long time Sierra Leone is not having such, except for those African minerals and others. So you need new skill sets, beginning from operators, conductors, traffic management officials. For me, my concern here, what kind of mechanism, traffic management mechanism, because trains, they are having new technologies as to how they are directed in terms of timing and all of that. So are those technologies going to be introduced? If they're going to be introduced, are we having the adequate skill sets for them? If not, are we ready to learn? This is going to be a new area. Mind you, this is not a corporate, this is going to be a passenger train. So it can be an opportunity for our young people to go and learn. And I hope that opportunity will be escalated to that of the National Youth Commission and other youth-centered institutions for young people to. This is a lifelong opportunity. You will like train almost in every part of the world. So if you can acquire the skills here now, that is, so it means this is huge. This is huge, and I hope safety, that is for the regulators and the Transport Ministry and others to look into that, because Arise cannot be a judge in their own cause. They will tell you we have all things in place, but the regulators should ensure those things are actually in place, not orally in place. Okay,
and for the exclusive newspaper, one of the top stories also is Samura Kamara to address the nation today. I think since the announcement of the June 24 elections, we've not had an address like this from Dr. Samura Kamara. So in your opinion, is this timely?
Yes, I think so.
Why?
The APC, they've been very mumu-ish, SO2, with regards to contemporary and emerging issues. They've not been talking, except for the rare interview granted to your esteemed institution by its erudite Secretary General in the person of Royal Lansana. They've not been talking. So if now Dr. Samura Kamara is coming out to talk, I hope it's not as a result of Adebayo's mamikos, and for a certain reason that is obvious. It seems as if Samura Kamara and his courts have been engaging and keeping the membership of the APC blindfolded. So in repercussion, I cannot doubt why that's heavy insult on his personality. But let's just reflect. Samura Kamara is the, contentiously defeated flag bearer candidate of the APC. The APC is the main opposition political party.
Why contentiously?
Contentiously because the election is disputed. You've had the Secretary General saying President Bio is the de facto president, not the jujuri. So let's speak the language of the APC in this case. And I'll come to the critical aspects of them. So I think with regards to, I look forward to what you will be saying around updates on their negotiation with the SLPP and government. So that's why it's timely. But of course, updates around issues within the APC itself. We know, like every other political party, like the SLPP, things are not normal. So how will Samura address that? But above all, I will be addressing national peace, unity, and cohesion. I look forward to that. And so it's timely, and I hope President Bio will borrow a leaf from Samura Kamara and address the nation or all the press conference, since he's coming just from hunger and he's been traveling, and they are, well, who is saying the truth or who is not saying the truth between the outgoing ambassador and the US and the government. So I think Samura is having this one right. I hope his message will resonate, firstly, nationally, and above all, he must appeal to the APC supporters, because his personality now is being questioned. He is being seen, well, according to some quarters in his party, as somebody that is, well, doing things not in tandem with his party's aims and aspirations. So it's going to be a critical one. When? We don't know. How? We don't know. But I think this should be timely. But should it be Samura Kamara to talk? I think, yes, he should. He should. He's not the president. Somebody will argue, it's the president. No. Melvin, if God gives me that affluence or influence, I should be able to sit at my room and address the nation in my own right. So
because that's what I wanted to come. So
yes, he has got the right to address
doesn't have to do that. Only this right just had to be done by the president. He's not the president of Sierra Leone.
Well, perhaps the president is not making good use of his rights to address the nation.
Why is that?
And mind you, the president, as per law, is only to address the nation once a year.
Okay.
Or except in other cases. When that's as per law, per the constitution, he addresses the parliament once. So we've not seen the reverse, where the parliament can invite and summon the president to talk on issues.
Okay.
So that has been a deficit on the part of the president. The president has not been. The best of extroverts President Biya I saw was when he addressed that American University lecture and Q&A. That's the best of extrovert President Biya I saw.
Okay. That's
my opinion. So if Samuel Kamara is coming to capitalize on the vacuum, it means somebody is not playing what he or she should be doing, communicating to the people. So Samuel can make good use of this opportunity based on how he is mindful of the legal jargons he uses, political jargons he use, and above all, tribal and regional angles he will be coming from. Because if he begins to continue to talk about a certain region, he's going to miss it. If he begins to talk about certain things that are very, he should be focusing on updates on negotiation, because that's why Adebayo, I made to learn SO2 range and 4. So he needs to clean himself up, and that's what he's coming to do. So his advisors, his think tanks, they should be behind him now, debriefing him, making sure that he has got the right dominion. I will tell you, I interviewed him in Parliament, I think it was last year, when MPs declared for him. That's a guy you cannot take for granted. He's quite unassuming, but you cannot take that guy, Samuel Kamara. I use a guy not in disrespect, but he's a politician. You cannot take his age, even as he's very tactful, and he's somehow very radical.
Okay.
Yeah, you cannot take him for granted. So it should be a look ahead for the press, what he will be saying, how he will be saying it, and to who or whom he will be saying it, and what the people will be responding to. But I think it's timely, and President Leone should learn from someone.
You mentioned that because they've been SO2, I borrow from you, Mumuish, and looking at because the APC National Secretary General was here, I think, a week or two, and from what he said, the main message was their stance on how they look at this presidency and also the elections. And even if he mentioned anything about national cohesion, maybe it was appendage to that. So do you think Samuel Kamara's address will also be focused on their stance on the outcome of the June 24 elections instead of national cohesion?
No, national cohesion will be coming, if I was a speech writer, it will be coming perhaps like President Biya did. I mean, coming down the conclusion of your address, basically. Okay. What I think you should be emphasizing, and that is the elephant in the room, negotiations, like I said.
Okay.
What has been given and what is to be received. Will the APC continue its boycott or not? That is going to be the biggest theme of Samura's address. So, that's all revolves around negotiation. Because if there is progress on negotiation, we're expecting to say, okay, based on what we've been talking about, where people are not discuss me for, this is what we have, and this is what we are going to do. Okay. Be bold and have the guts. But based on what we've been talking about, we don't have trust. It should be coming out on a position because, mind you, it has got to appease the boycotters now.
Okay.
The MPs, the councillors, what he will be saying, they will be keenly listening to him. Because what he will be saying today will give them, particularly the MPs or others, the guts to go and see, let me go and subscribe the oaths. And Samuel should be very tactful here, because this message should be giving hope to the hopeless. How are you coming to tell APCers that we are coming to continue our boycotts? What is the alternative plan?
Okay.
This time, APCers are not going to listen to him because he's Samuel Kamara or not because I hear the dance for. They are coming out to listen to him critically. And this is coming on the back of Adebayo's wrenching. So he should be coming out as the real Samuel Kamara, and not only for himself, but for his political party and the country. And he should be sending a message to the SLPP. No matter what you say, I don't expect a flawless. Because if he wants to be too sweet, he's going to be heavily come down at. If he wants to be too bitter, then he should be having the government to contend with. And he should be mindful of his fingers are in the mouth of the government directly or indirectly. So Samuel Kamara, this speech, this is not a party office speech. This is going to be a big one that might have serious consequences, not for what you will be saying, but even after that. So I look forward to it. It's timely, and I hope President Biya keep on reporting. President Biya should do the same.
Okay. So, and the other big story, the WASC 2023 examination results were put out yesterday, and according to reports, there is 83% pass rate, but even though like 137,796 passes recorded, but also they recorded 34,525 results that has been withheld. And at first, I know you must have followed up with that. What do you make up of this year's results? Well,
firstly, I think we should be I'll borrow the word of my friend Sundu. We should be framed in this conversation.
Okay.
If we're having 83% pass rates, that's in its bare sense worth celebrating. Yeah. And people that pay school fee for a beginning and then pass rates.
And they say this is the highest.
Pass rates cannot, in the same sense, mean eligible for university entry.
Okay.
So that is the secondary. But for the pass rates, we should celebrate. And now we come to the dark side of the picture, which is withheld results. Firstly, we should come from a statistical standpoint. What constitutes that number in terms of percentage of withheld? Yeah, of course, it's huge. 137,000, it's huge. But compared to the whole picture, I'm not a mathematician or a statistician, but if it's 0.5 or 0, it is meaningful, it has got impact, but can you compare the positive in this case in terms of magnitude or results to that of the negative? If those facts are not readily available, we should be restrained, even when some people don't want to see good things happen to Sierra Leone because of APC, SLPP reasons. But in general, if it's 83% pass rate, and now I'm seeing my good elder sister, Dr. Blyden, is reporting from the gender lens. More females in 2023 were scared than male pupils. Well, I'm sure the paper is saying more female passes, but more females in 2023 were scared than male pupils. All right, so now, because it's more female, everybody is glorifying the achievements of the women. But are they being otherwise? The media will be accused of being misogynistic. Imagine this headline is something else. More males. Then somebody corner. What about the girls? So for me, it's not about male, boy, or girl. It's about the entire results. When you educate a boy, you've educated a Sierra Leonean. When you educate a girl, it's just that. So to give a gender lesson, for me, I want to say important. So in terms of the one that the champions and for the advocacy, but for me, the bigger picture is Sierra Leonean kids passed in huge numbers.
Okay.
Whether that is the case for university entry, it can be a question for another day, but for the bare fact, that is what it is.
One could say maybe she decided to do that as they are always advocating that the women have been marginalized for so long, and women doing things like this now, it is worth recognized.
They should be very careful for it not to be seen as us versus them. When you begin to say it's boys versus girls, men versus women, we will defeat the purpose of gender equity and empowerment. It's about equity. So if it's a girl that excels, it's a girl. If it's a boy, it's a boy. Emphasizing or overemphasizing the facts can lead to something else. I am having a story of, well, let me say for the benefit of the public, where somebody is saying, oh, how comes the woman go sit down, then go pull in gun hand? Now say, you don't check almost man and don't pull gun at the hand. So we should be very careful how we gender size. If permission, if jargon permit, how we gender size the issues. Because it will come back to haunt. If not the guy picking and pass, not someone picking and pass. It's about the whole picture. When government is drafting these policies, yes, they are gender focused, but at the end of the day, the human capital development cuts across gender. So it's good, yes, but to what end? Are we to say then we should give more on with this result? more opportunity should be given to the girls than the boys. When we know we have boys that are very clever who are coming from poor backgrounds. So we should keep a fine balance.
And maybe because even the president, I remember when the Gender Act was launched, he said this is the time for women. So maybe these headlines is also in that resonating with something like that. Maybe not because they want to, as you said, borrowed from you, gender-sized, but just because they want to recognize that women are now also taking the front line in things like this.
I think the antonym there will be politicized.
Okay.
We should not politicize gender achievements.
Okay.
Because it can be dangerous. Do we have a woman vice president in Sierra Leone? How many women are there in the judiciary? How many women are there in parliament? How many women are there in other ministries, departments, and agencies? Have we attained that threshold as enshrined in the GWE bill?
Okay.
No. So we should not glorify or over-glorify these things. We have a lot to do. In fact, the GWE we are talking about is not constitutionally enshrined. It's a secondary law.
Okay.
Should we not be thinking about making it a primary law in our purported or so-called constitutional review?
Okay.
Those are the big issues. So, yes, we celebrate girls, celebrate women, but we should celebrate every Sierra Leonean for their rights, and when they are wrong, we should damn them for their wrong, be they man or woman, boy or girl. Okay.
And so away from that, because the issue of results being withheld, because as you can see from the over 100,000 passes, like almost half of that has been withheld. And this is not something that just happened, this was result. It has been happening over and over again. Mm-hmm. So is that a problem?
Of course, it's a problem that spans from WAEC to invigilators, to school management, to pupils, to parents, to communities. Because those results cannot just be withheld like that. There should be a reason for that. I will tell you, those reasons cannot be new or newer to the older ones we used to have. Mm-hmm. Malpractice, all of those things. So I think Dr. Senge, in all his educational reforms, one thing that defeated him is the fact that he could not curb examination malpractice.
So where are they missing? Because even WAEC and the Education Ministry, what are they missing? Because this has been happening over and over again. And yesterday, the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Mr. Conrad Saki, had an interview with AYV. He assured the public that they are working with WAEC to ensure that the results that has been withheld will be published, or whatever the end goal or end results may be. But that is something we've been hearing over and over. Even last year, we had a huge number of students whose results were withheld, and they said the same thing. But up till date, no one knows what happened with that. So where are they missing?
There should be a tribunal to investigate all parties. WAEC should not be above the laws of Sierra Leone. They are not saints. They are not above reproach. They are the persons that are offering these questions. They have the first hand on the papers. So we need an independent tribunal on examination malpractice alone. What is causing it? Who are the players? What are the factors? Because it cannot only be WAEC. You have, you know, this is a very big problem. You cannot only blame it on government.
Okay.
We are in a society, if you go and read Honorable Yunkela's reports on fake degrees, wherein everybody wants to feel, you only feel gratified when you are called
doctor, or
you're a first degree holder, you're a master's holder, you're a PhD holder. Everybody wants to acclaim, even if it takes unmerited means, academic excellence. And we're in a society, if you are perceived not educated or educated, there is a special class for you. So people want to go the extra mile. There cannot be a silver bullet to it. It takes an independent tribunal investigating all these bodies.
Okay.
And of course, they must come out and explain the reasons for seizing those results. Mind you, this is not the first time results have been seized in Sierra Leone. From the days of the GCE, O-level, results were seized.
Okay.
So how comes we don't know? We should be having papers on this, research on this.
Why is Sierra Leone as a country has not been learning to prevent that?
We don't know if it's only Sierra Leone. WAEC is not only operating in Sierra Leone.
We are talking about Sierra Leone because this is where
because Sierra Leone, we are a country, we are sorry to say, when it comes to certain institutional arrangements, we are homongers.
Okay.
And if you owe WAEC, you cannot compare WAEC. Because at the end of the day, there is this albatross around your neck that's, oh, we'll never give them something, so for take 10 talk. So we must be independent enough. Okay? And that is a room for compromise. If you are sending somebody to invigilate and you have to pay that person after 4-5 months of the exams, and that person is being offered during the exam, you know, there are lots of aspects to handle in this one. But I think David Senge, his biggest failure, having been a Renaissance personality, they will put it, or a reformist, or radical, the author of Sierra Leone's radical inclusion policy, he failed on that. Okay. And he must go to the drawing board now that he is chief minister, because we seem not to know why, and this thing is pervasive, and it is hindering and plunging the country's image when it comes to education. But we must be very careful how we overemphasize the seizure of these results. Okay. Because we must put it in tandem with Nigeria, Ghana, and other countries. Is it the same? Is it the same percentage? Is the rate of passes in Sierra Leone compared to other countries that are using the same? We must celebrate what is to be celebrated first, and then condemn what is to be condemned. Okay. Let's not miss the picture.
All right. So let's just go to our Facebook page and take some messages from our viewers. And Eddie Grant is saying, Dr. Kamara is not addressing the nation, but his party stakeholders. Mind you, he is not a sitting president. Okay. Daniel Kamara is saying, okay, he's responding to Eddie Grant. The only sitting president can address a nation, so the opposition don't have the right to address the nation. I hope you are taking it into consideration. And Kumba Kamara is saying, Melvin Samura Kamara is not addressing the nation. He is talking to APC members. All right, and let's go down. Okay. Daniel Kamara again. Eddie Grant, the speech of Samura Kamara today, the entire country will listen. Okay, even you will listen. And Dauda Manas is saying, Dauda thoroughly rest your case, Brett. He is saying there is no train tracks in Sierra Leone. I don't know opinion. I don't know opinion on his comments. So I don't know, they're talking about train tracks. And Melvin, Eddie Grant again, Samura being a radical man, I disagree with you, Melvin. So I think maybe you need to, before you go to the other messages, you need to explain to him, what do you mean by radical man? Okay.
In simple sense, I alluded to the fact that I interviewed him when members of parliament in the 5th parliament declared for him. And I watched and listened to his address. It only takes a radical to mention to people who have endorsed your leadership to say, I hope you mean business. I hope this is not hypocrisy. That takes radicalism. Because
so you mean like he's too honest, right?
That's honest. Of course, that is what I call radicalism.
Okay.
Speaking the right thing at the right time.
Being honest.
You will put it that way.
Okay.
So that is my estimation.
All right.
There are other asides that I will not want to make mention because I am not an APCer. But according to sources from APC, evaluates when he went to Europe, evaluates how he sought that release to travel, evaluates all those things. I am not here to, I will not hold a brief for him or against him. But that's what I meant. Okay. And to say, nobody said there are no train tracks here. I said they are old-fashioned. If you are referring to me, they are old-fashioned. And if we are coming with a modern train for an old-fashioned rail, it can be a calamity. Okay. That's what I said. I don't know if there are more.
Okay, yes. The one that say there is one that say as president,
No.
yes,
Yeah.
the president is the only one who has the right to address the nation. So what's your take on that?
Let the person show me what provision of the law is.
Eddie Grant is saying, no, as per the 1991 Constitution, the opposition can only address its members.
What provision? What section?
I don't know.
I will tell you,
mention.
even the president addressing the nation, it only states in the Constitution that the president shall address Parliament.
Okay.
So we assume by extension that is only the mention. So who gives somebody rights or no rights to address the nation? Show me the provision, Eddie Grant, please. Okay. Educate me.
All right. So because we are almost coming to the end of our program today, so I will just ask you to respond to. Okay, it's the same one again. Say, since Samura Kamara, standard bearer, his address, he will always. No, okay. So Samura is not addressing the nation at all. He is just talking to the APC family. And so there is a message that is saying if APC and SLPP is at peace, Sierra Leone will rest. So your response to that, and we close for today.
God bless that person that sent that message. Okay. If only we can have peace between APC and SLPP, will progress, and will progress much faster. Because right now we are stagnated, you like it or not. This is the problem in Sierra Leone. We must give people their space. Opposition in a democracy is part of governance. So for you to say the opposition leader has not got rights to address the nation, what basis of the law you are referring to? When even in the Constitution of Sierra Leone, the president is only mentioned once as to when he addresses the nation through Parliament. There is no other provision that talks about president going to radio. No. So we must amend the laws. If you don't want someone to address the nation, amend it and strictly ascribe it to the president that it shall. Only it shall. And see with the campaign review, only president shall address the nation. Do you know what that means? You are clamping on free expression. You are clamping on free speech. Even the members of the government knows that the opposition leader must talk. You know what's the danger there when you have a Mumu opposition leader? Let's not stifle people. Someone has got the right to address kush boys, prostitutes, and market women. Every sphere. He is not the president, okay, but he's a politician, and he has got followers. His party is holding the country to a ransom. We like it or not. Okay. So when he wants to talk, we should be eager to listen as to what he's saying. Two SLPP and government people now want to listen. They are set. Policy and think tankers are set to listen. Diplomats are set. And you are saying he's not supposed to address the nation. And we are talking about mediation and peace and dialogue. What are we talking about?
Right.
We the followers, and we still are the problem. The other day, they see someone, chief minister snap picture, somebody there under. Now, from here, they begin and send and go Holland. They then cost the people their mama. Is that what we want for our nation? It's not good. Someone must address the nation in a capacity as even nobody. So please, spare me that one. Go and find the provision that says nobody should address the nation, only the president. All
right. Thank you so much, Melvin Tijan Mansare, for joining me today on Front Page. And we are sorry. Imran Sila from the Information and Civic Education Ministry could not make it. And but viewers, we thank you. For those of you who sent in your messages, we thank you for following on this program and sending in your thoughts and comments. So this is where we wrap up the program today, Front Page.